Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Yesterday I made a video on the gender wage gap, or the supposed gender wage gap, and I spent about half the time berating and making fun of some Greens political members in New Zealand, but I'd also mentioned the gender spending gap. And one of my subscribers left a comment going, no one ever really talks about it. And it's right, I haven't really seen a video explicitly done on it. I've heard people mention it, Stefan Molyneux brings it up, and many others. So I thought I'd have a look at it. And what I found was actually a little interesting. So let's dive right into it. I found an infographic from Business Insider Australia that shared it from a marketing website or marketing business. Now that's important. Remember that, the marketing aspect of it. So more women are taking the reins on their finances, holding 60% of all personal wealth and 51% of all stocks in the US, according to Virginia Tech. In the office, 1.3 million are cashing in a cool 100,000 plus annually and running 40% of all private American businesses. Wow, that patriarchy is really doing a shit job, isn't it? Keeping those women oppressed and in the kitchen. Got to try harder, boys. Maybe you could learn from some of the women's rights movements, eh? At home, the majority of women, 90%, still control the family purse strings, from stocking up on household items to having the final say on home and car purchases and healthcare. Now, a colleague of mine who's a mortgage broker told me this, and he said, you got to pitch the bitch. You got to get the wife on side. You got to get the girlfriend on side. You got to get the missus on side. You're selling to her. The bloke may think he has the purse strings, the final say, but often it's the wife that'll have a big influence, or the partner that'll have a big influence. And I've thought about that, and even in our family, I'm quite a traditional bloke. Rachel and I have a traditional relationship, but we're shopping for a new car, and she's done all the research. You know why? Because it has to have the exact number of baby seats, and that's not stuff that I'm too interested in. We get a nice, boring Kia Carnival, but not a plug. Not sponsored content. But that just made me realize, in many ways, that's right. Because Rachel will do all her grocery shopping. She'll go do a monthly shop, all the day-to-day spending, even the internet she organized. I might pay it on the credit card, but she rang up Optus. She got it all sorted. So in many ways, I think a lot of this has to do with just running of a household and dividing up those responsibilities. Because if your wife is staying at home, or if your partner's staying at home and you're out working, you kind of say, honey, can you sort the internet? I'm exhausted when you come home from work. I think that has a lot to do with it. So let's have a look at this infographic that Business Insider shared. The purchasing power of women. When it comes time to buy, women are more often the decision makers and motivators. Yes. Recently, women have gained ground in earnings, spending, and influence on household spending. So 7 trillion is contributed by women to the US economy. 91% of all women say they think advertisers do not understand them well. This was done by a marketing business. 85% of purchases and purchase influences are made by women. 50% of products typically marketed to men are purchased by women. 2/3 of consumer wealth in America will belong to women within the next decade. So, come on, patriarchy, you got to put your effort in, because this doesn't really seem... How is it that women are earning less? And we've established that, they say there's a gender wage gap. Let's say an earnings gap, because they work less and they make different life choices because they're still free to do it. Comrade, we haven't got the communist utopia yet to remove that. So 60% of all personal wealth in the US is held by women. What? Wow. Okay. 51%. So more women have the wealth and more women have the shares now. Spending and power. 80% of healthcare decisions are made by men. Well, that's not surprising. They're generally the primary caregivers of children. 68% of new car purchase decisions are made by women. Well, that's just happened to me right now. The new car we're getting is a nice, sensible family car. Although I have friends that will, the wife will get a car, the family car, and then they'll sneak away a bit of money for like a drag, racing car or something they'll do up, or something to show off. 75% of women identify themselves as the primary household shopper. Well, that's not surprising at all. And 85% of all consumer purchases in the US are made by women. So there is a spending gap. The women have more opportunities to spend than the men. 65% requested services at a car dealership, wow, are made by women. Women spend a combined $200 billion on new cars and mechanical services of vehicles in the United States. I think a lot of men may be too cheap to do it or do it themselves. What women buy, purchases women account for. New homes, 91%. There you go. That's the mortgage broker right there. That's the real estate that told me right there. You got to aim at the women. PCs, 66%. Vacations, yep, that's not surprising. Bank accounts, yep. And food, wow. Look at that. You know why? Because the men are all working. We're off in the office working, earning the money, and the women are spending it. So the old joke of, someone stole my wife's credit card. And I said, let him keep it. He spends less than the missus. Holds true. Control of wealth. Women own 40% of businesses in America. Wow. 1.3 million women earn more than $100,000 in annual salary a year. Senior women aged 50 plus have a combined net worth of $19 trillion. And over the course of a family's life, 90% of married women will control its wealth. There you go. And the best way for a woman to stay out of poverty is to get married. The differences in rates of poverty between married women and men and unmarried women are phenomenal. So this was done by marketingzeus.com. And these are their references. And have a look at them. Girl power marketing. And we'll look at that. Catalyst, Forbes, a lot of newspaper articles and other marketing things. Okay, so that's interesting. So let's have a look at girl power marketing as one of the examples. So this guy is referring, this website. So women and global spending. Women control $20 trillion in worldwide spending. The purchasing power of women in the United States ranges from $5 trillion to $15 trillion annually. Women control more than 60% of all personal wealth in the US. And the source is the Federal Reserve. Okay, so that I'd say is legit. The Mass Mutual Fund Group, Business Week, Gallup. So women purchase over 50%. Yep. So it's the same thing repeated here. And here's the purchasing power by women. So he's just repackaged this into his other one. So first of the results that we've found are Federal Reserve. So, it'd be interesting to see how they capture this information, how they capture it. I know we've got a lot of things where in my family, I'm paying for purchases. It has my wife's name on the bill. So women in shopping. That's not sexist at all. Yeah, women love shopping. It's a stereotype, but sometimes they're true. 75% of women identify themselves as the primary shopper for their household. Yep, we've seen all this. And so this is all from a marketing perspective. And it generally, it shows that women make a lot of the financial decisions, even if it is from a marketing basis and how they can target women smarter. Anecdotally, I didn't believe it, but I started to see it in my own life, particularly as we become a family unit and we coming together as a team. This isn't necessarily a bad thing that women are doing this. It's just something we have to be aware of, because when they're claiming, oh, we're not getting paid enough, we're not getting, all this rubbish, utter rubbish about the wage gap, when there's just a spending gap that discounts it. Because they're spending all the money their husbands are earning, because they're taking responsibility for that part of running the family. So here you go, it goes all into it. The automobile one, that's the interesting one for me. 65% of new car purchases. There you go. So 1 out of every 11 American women own a business. Now that's fascinating. That I bet you a lot of them would be smaller businesses, home-based businesses, where they can have the flexibility to have work-life balance, where maybe they can earn a little less, but they can have more time with their family, more time with their children. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's actually a fantastic thing. So here we got changes for different stages as they're going through. But generally we get the gist of it. Now let's have a look at an article on the Wall Street Journal challenging this question. And I thought this was very interesting because I found this one first when I was doing this little research. Do women really control 80% of household spending? Because that's what I've seen. Women control 4 times, for every $1 a man spends, women spends $4. So figures showing how men and women spend on cars, household purchases, and consumer electronics. There's a difference there. My print column this week examines the basis for the often repeated stat that women in the US control 80% of consumer spending. It turns out that there isn't much basis for it. I found that articles and websites that include the claim either don't attribute the information, or if they do, the sources cited said they weren't sure where the numbers came from. For instance, some cite the management consultancy A.T. Kearney, but a spokesman for the company said, "We've been trying to track down that source for years, but no one in the firm knows anything about it." So that's fascinating. Others have attributed the numbers to Yalovich, but I have not attributed the numbers to Yalovich. No. But okay, wait, no, Yalovich, that's another firm, sorry. But Emily Parenti, Director of Marketing for the Furnitures Co., which was the result of a merger between, Henley Center Headlight Vision and Yalovich in 2008, said that statistics did not originate with our research, but appear to have been manufactured by a source we haven't yet been able to identify. Others cite the Bureau of Labor and Statistics or the Census Bureau, but a spokesman for both organizations said they don't collect such data, which is interesting because that was an example of a site, a reference in the previous information. You have to wonder, how would they collect that data? You know, we're doing a GST, you don't collect the gender on any purchases. Maybe will come from credit card companies. They track the spending there, or small isolated groups. That probably something for another video. It is not possible to say how much spending women control because so much spending is done at the household rather than the individual level. Cheryl Russell, editing director of the New Strategist publication, wrote in an email, "My own personal estimate based on my analysis of consumer expenditure survey is that women are involved in 78% of consumer spending. This figure is based on the share of households headed by married couples, female-headed single parents, and women who live alone multiplied by the average spending levels of each household of those types. By the same measure, men are involved in 76%. And so it shows not much of a difference. That's not much different. So, even if the female is influencing, or the wife is influencing the purchase, is the man being involved just giving over the money? So the numbers typically originate with companies and writers who specialize in emphasizing the importance of marketing towards women, who do not seem to control more than half of household spending, according to some surveys, but not 80%. Okay, who do seem to control more than half, but not 80%. So they're saying it's more than half, but not the 80% claim that people make. This isn't academic research, and half a dozen economists contacted said they aren't familiar with any studies that quantify women-controlled spending. The notion of spending under control of one group just does not make much conceptual sense to me, Harvard University economist Lawrence Katz wrote in an email. Ira Meyer, publisher of the newsletter Marketing to Women, which in 2009 tried and failed to find the origin of the stat, isn't convinced that women spend $4 for every $1 spent by men, as the 80% figure suggests. But he is confident that women do spend more. Anecdotally, it would appear to just about anyone that women control more buying decisions, it's an anecdote, than men. Yes, he said, but Mr. Meyer isn't even sure about having an exact number on matters. It would be nice to know, but I don't know what it would tell us if we knew the actual numbers. And he makes a good point. Is it that important? So, from my own experiences, my own life, I've realized it's true. And it's just, a good, funny counterfoil to the argument of the wage gap. I think that's a good criticism that we can put. So, men work more, they earn the money for their families. Women are generally, even if they are working, they take more responsibilities on in the family. They may earn less due to their choices and the hours they choose to work. And by taking on those responsibilities, they spend more. They make more decisions on behalf of the family unit. That's perfectly fine. You know, so everyone claiming wage gap, wage gap, wage gap. We've got a spending gap. You know. So thank you all very much for watching this episode. I hope I cast a bit more light onto it. I think the 80% is a bit high, but then again, maybe it's not. If you like this content, please subscribe. I'll put a subscribe up here, and I'll share some more videos over this side here. I've had to move my desk, so it's all a bit around. Now, if you're watching one of these earlier and these things haven't appeared, often it's because I'll go to sleep after preparing a video, because here in Australia, our internet is terrible, and it'll take a few hours to upload. So it's usually the first day people don't get to see those things. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a lovely day, and all the best.